Hi, my name is Barry Sterling Mitchell. I produce the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings and the Bias Plus reports. Today is July 8th, 2023, and this is Ben and Barry on football.
Hello out there. This is your co-host Ben Dickerson. As we move forward with our brain trust reports, I'm eager to get to which division are we doing today?
The NFC South.
NFC South. Yeah, I've been kind of waiting for NFC South. Interesting division. A lot of turnover in that division over this during this off season. So I'm ready to rock. Let's go.
Well, let me say this because it's interesting that you mentioned a lot of turnover in the division. This particular segment took me a while longer because the career lengths of the people involved are really long. They go way back. And, I had to edit through a lot of stuff. And a lot of times some of the, information I'm getting includes a lot of the accomplishments that I don't really have time to include, for every little back that did this and did that under their tutelage, you know what I mean? But I will tell people, if you want to find this information, feel free to go to the NFL website, check out the team webpage, and you'll be able to see the biographies of these guys. We take this from the NFL directly, okay? So we're not making up some. Now, there are a few things that I did which are not right off of the NFL. One of the things I was able to do for this particular segment, since I didn't include a lot of stuff for the quarterbacks, I do have their Madden ratings. Yes, I do. And I did include the win-loss records and the net points for, points against, and turnover differential for the teams that we're talking about from their 2022 results. So we do have a bit more information going in as to where they're coming from, and that could be why they're having all of this turnover in the first place. All right? So,
Okay.
Without further ado, let's kick this thing off. Ben and Barry on Football NFL Brain Trust NFC South 2023. Okay, again, I went by order of best record to worst record. So here we go with the best record, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And the best record in the division last year was 8 wins and 9 losses. So, what it kind of reminded me of when I was looking at it? Remember we were looking at the USFL and the XFL? And you had one division that was really, four of the teams, of the 8 teams were in the division. They were pretty much all worse than the team in the other division.
Right.
But here you go. We have General Manager Jason Licht, Head Coach Todd Bowles, Offensive Coordinator Dave Canales. DC is also Todd Bowles. Todd's keeping a job from somebody there. Special Teams Coordinator Keith Armstrong. And I included both Baker Mayfield and Kyle Trask in this information. Kyle Trask, has been there. Baker Mayfield's new. And I thought it was interesting to kind of take a look at both of them, although we pretty much feel like Baker is pretty much the choice for starting quarterback at this particular point. But
is that how you feel about it?
No, I think that's the sense that I get from what I'm reading.
Okay.
But that was why I included him, because I do feel that there's a possibility, or that this is somewhat of a competition.
It's a competition.
So there you go.
But
so
of course, to make it a competition, you're talking a veteran against a basic newcomer. Yes, he's been on the team, but he's never actually been the real starter. So if there's a competition, that means he's holding his own for the most part, pretty much so far anyway.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to talk a little bit more about those quarterbacks. We're going to start out with General Manager Jason Licht. Now, he is the 5th general manager in franchise history, with more than 2 decades of scouting and player personnel experience with 6 different organizations. Okay. And 26 seasons, including one as a coach, that clubs that he worked with have amassed a 223 to 196 record. That's pretty much a 5.532, 500 record. But they have 11 playoff appearances, 9 division championships, 5 conference championships, and 2 Super Bowl titles. So Mr. Licht has some Super Bowl in his background. He played linebacker and guard at the University of Nebraska from 1989 to 91 before transferring to Nebraska Wesleyan, where he was an all-conference defensive tackle. Started in the NFL with the Dolphins in 1995. So this is what I was saying, like everybody's starting way back there in 95 in this division. He worked as a scouting department assistant before spending the 96 season as an offensive assistant quality control coach. In 97, he worked for the National Football Scouting, for National Football Scouting, which was a college football scouting service before he joined the Panthers in 1998. Are you familiar with the National Football Scouting Organization?
I've heard of it.
Apparently, these are organizations that basically work for the NFL and provide scouting data for the NFL. Right. So I wasn't really familiar with it. You know, I assumed that, they had scouts and they went out and they did their thing, and that was the only way they got information, but it's not. In his first stint in New England, he was a scout and assistant director of player personnel from 1999 to 2002, which included a victory in Super Bowl, I got to get this right now, 36. Part of the front office that drafted core pieces that won 3 Super Bowls in 4 seasons. We're talking about Damian Woody, Kevin Falk, Tom Brady, Richard Seymour, Matt Light, and Deion Branch. He spent 5 years with the Eagles as the club's assistant director of player personnel, and then was promoted to VP of player personnel for the final 2 years. While there, the Eagles won NFC East titles during that span and a berth in Super Bowl 39. He worked with the Cardinals in 2008 as a personnel executive. During that time, they won the NFC West, went to the Super Bowl. He worked directly with head coach and general manager on player acquisition and contract negotiations, as well as leading the club's scouting efforts as he oversaw both college and pro scouting departments. He spent 2 seasons as the VP of player personnel, working under general manager Steve Keim. Remember that name?
Yep. Bums.
Well, you say that, but Steve Keim earned the NFL Executive of the Year honors from both Pro Football Talk and Sporting News. The 2013 season saw the Cardinals improve from 5-11 to 10-6.
Then he took it to the toilet.
He went to the Patriots, where he monitored every NFL roster with an emphasis on scouting talent of upcoming pro free agents. And this guy's done it all, man. He also maintained a depth chart of their roster. The Patriots were the AFC East champions in each of those 3 seasons and advanced to Super Bowl following the 2011 campaign. He went back to Arizona as director of player and personnel in 2012. In 2014, he joined the Buccaneers. His first draft pick with the Bucs was Mike Evans. That's not a bad pick for your first pick. He went on to be on the all-rookie team, and received honors from ESPN, SI, NFL. This guy's worked alongside 7 head coaches who have led a team to a Super Bowl. Shula, Johnson, Belichick, Reed, Pete Carroll, Lovie Smith, and Ken Wisenhunt. And 7 have won AP Coach of the Year in their careers. Again, Shula, Johnson, Belichick, Reed, Smith, Don Capers, and Bruce Arians. So Jason Licht, I mean, that's a heck of a GM that they got there, man. I mean, he's got all the scouting, et cetera, et cetera. Doesn't it make you wonder how you wound up with Baker Mayfield? But we'll come back to that. Let's talk about Todd Bowles. Now, This is his, let me see, first season as head coach. He had 3 seasons as the team's defensive coordinator and had one of the most productive and opportunistic defenses in the NFL. Architect behind a historic defensive performance that catapulted the Bucs to a Super Bowl 55 victory. And his was the unit that held the Chiefs offense to 9 points, no touchdowns for the first time in 54 games with Patrick Mahomes as the starter. In the first 2 seasons, he helped elevate the Bucs defense from 27th to 6th in yards per game. He was the head coach of the New York Jets from 2015 to 2018. Under him, the Jets posted one of the best run defenses in the NFL and allowed opposing offenses to convert only 36% of their third downs. He spent 2 seasons as a defensive coordinator for the Cardinals. He won Assistant Coach of the Year honors from the Pro Football Writers of America and the Associated Press in 2014. Spent 1 year with the Eagles, serving as the team's secondary coach before being named interim defensive coordinator for the final 10 games. He worked as an assistant head coach, secondary coach for the Miami Dolphins for 4 seasons. In 2011, he was named interim head coach for the final 3 games of the year, and he went 2-1. He worked as a defensive back coach for the Cowboys in 2005 to 7. Began his career in 2000 as a defensive back coach for the Jets, the only team I had any family that worked for or that played for. He spent 4 years with the Browns. He spent 1 season as a defensive coordinator at Morehouse College and 2 seasons as a defensive coordinator at Grambling. I didn't know that. Played collegiately at Temple. He was undrafted in 1996, but played 8 years in the NFL. He was with Washington and my beloved 49ers. He was a starter on the 1987 Washington team that won Super Bowl 22. Following his retirement, he spent 2 seasons with the Green Bay Packers player personnel department. He's out of New Jersey. Man, Benny. Okay, Dave Canales comes to the Bucs, spent 13 seasons with the Seahawks from 2010 to 2022, where he helped them to 10 playoff appearances, 2 conference championships, and a Super Bowl title. Got a lot of Super Bowls in this organization, Brain Trust. Started out with the Seahawks as an offensive quality control coach, became an assistant quarterback coach, a wide receiver coach, and a pass game coordinator. He helped Geno Smith to his first career Pro Bowl selection. In addition, Geno got the comeback player of the year from the Associated Press and Pro Football Writers and was named the NFL's most improved player by the PFWA after leading the NFL with a 69.8 completion percentage and career highs in completions at 399, passing yards at 4,282, and passing touchdowns at 30. So somebody's getting a little credit for Geno's success there. We know that the Seahawks had a good offense. We talked about that like all during the season. They were one of those teams that was a little unbalanced relative to having a really good offense and defense not seeming to hold up. But in his time, he helped Russell Wilson join Peyton Manning as the only player in league history with 3,000 or more passing yards and 20-plus passing touchdowns in each of their first 10 seasons. Before that, he spent 1 season as an assistant strength coach and video assistant at the University of Southern Cal and worked with the quarterbacks. He came from El Camino College, where he was a tight end coach and special teams coordinator before coaching the quarterbacks. He also worked part-time with the annual Pete Carroll football camp, and that's where he met and built that relationship with Pete Carroll. He began his coaching career as a head freshman, sophomore coach and offensive coordinator at his alma mater, Carson High School. He was a wide receiver at Azusa Pacific University, was named team captain twice, and earned his degree in business administration. He's out of Carson, California. So that's Mr. Canales. We already talked about Todd Bowles, so we know his history. So we can skip the DC and go straight to the special teams coordinator, Keith Armstrong. Now, Keith is in his 4th season with Tampa Bay as a special teams coordinator. His units, Ben, have not allowed a kickoff return for a touchdown in 11 consecutive seasons, during which the team covered 346 returns and 1,008 total kickoffs. During his time, during the Tampa Bay playoff run to Super Bowl 55, his kick returner, Jaden Mickens, set a franchise playoff record with 121 kick return yards. Against Green Bay in the NFC Championship, Mickens had 222 kickoff return yards over the course of the postseason and set a new franchise record for a single postseason. He also coached Ryan Suckup, and we know how good he was. He set franchise records in points scored, total kicks made, etc. Before joining the Bucs, he spent 10 years as a special teams coordinator for the Falcons. You know, it's funny. As soon as you said the Falcons, I'm thinking indoors, you know, maybe it's a little bit easier. The field goal units under him were among the best, connecting on 87.7% of field goal attempts. He was with the Dolphins for 7 seasons, and their punt return coverage was some of the best in the NFL, allowing only 6.6 yards per return. He started his coaching career with the Falcons as a safety coach, did that for 2 seasons, and then became the secondary coach. He spent 4 seasons with the Chicago Bears. A native of Fairless Hills, PA, he played collegiately at Temple under Bucs head coach Bruce Arians. Began his coaching career as a graduate assistant at Temple before working with Miami, Florida, and Akron, Oklahoma State, and Notre Dame. So, I mean, again, absolutely crazy. Now, you have your quarterbacks here. We have Baker Mayfield and we have Kyle Trask. And as I said, I didn't really do a lot, you know, on the quarterbacks because people pretty much know the quarterbacks and it's easy to get information on them. But I did pull up the Madden ratings, and I thought it was interesting. Baker Mayfield's overall rating is 71, which again, it's, you know, pretty low rating. You know, it's not exactly in the 80s and stuff like that. It gave him a speed of 82, acceleration of 81. It sounds like he could be a pretty good option quarterback. The strength is 70, okay. His agility, 83 is okay, but his awareness, they only have that listed as 62, which I thought was interesting for a guy with his experience. Now, Kyle Trask overall was 59. His speed, he's slower, but he's a bigger guy, 70. His acceleration, 80. Strength, 57. And I just said he was a bigger guy. So I'm really surprised to see that his strength rating was so low. His agility, 78, and his awareness, 61. So awareness-wise, they're right in the same part. But although he looks to be bigger and stronger, Kyle Trask does, Baker seems to be the better-built athlete in this situation. So that's what I have so far for the brain trust for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Mr. Dickerson. What you got?
All right, let's go backwards. Baker Mayfield, an experienced NFL quarterback, has been in the league for 5 seasons at least. His first 4 seasons were with the Cleveland Browns. Each season, he had a different offensive coordinator. So that's going to hurt him in those Madden ratings right off the bat. He was consistently, year after year, learning a new system and having not necessarily great weapons at his disposal. I don't know what happened the one year. There seemed to be some issue between him and Odell Beckham, but I really don't have a clue on what happened there. But other than that, he obviously was working at a handicap, so that's going to hamper those because those are career numbers, right?
Well,
Okay.
those are his attribute ratings. Again,
Yeah, but they're for his entire career.
that's the Madden read on his awareness, and that does belie his experience and the different situations that he was in. What can I say?
For his whole career combined.
Yeah, I'm gonna say yeah.
Okay. So now you look at Kyle Trask, who hasn't had his opportunity to be a real starter yet. So his Madden rating can't be so good because he doesn't play. But I remember Kyle Trask in college.
Yeah.
He's got the tools. He's not going to be an option guy. He's not fast. In fact, he would probably try his best not to run at all costs. But he can stand tall in the pocket and he can deliver the ball. That's why they kept him around. This is actually a true competition going on right now, as far as I know, after OTAs. And once the real training camps start up again in a couple of weeks, we'll start to get some more reports out of training camp and see what's going on. And then when preseason comes, we'll get a chance to get a true look at him. Let's face it, he might have played a couple preseason games, maybe a half, a couple quarters late. But when you got Tom Brady as your starter, you know, if the game is important or there's something else going on, then you're not going to get any shine. So now he's going to get a chance to get some shine. Now, on a good note for Baker Mayfield, we saw what Baker Mayfield can actually do when he's with a real coach, a really good offensive mind, and some weapons, which he showed us last year when he got traded to the Rams. He looked like a completely different guy. So if he ends up winning this competition, I will not be surprised. I just happen to be rooting for Kyle Trask. Now, Mr. Armstrong.
You said I just happen to be rooting for Kyle Trask?
That is correct. That's what I said.
Why is that, if you don't mind me asking?
Because he's hung in there on a good team or a team that's been good for a long time, that put all their eggs into the Tom Brady basket, got one Super Bowl out of it and several playoff appearances. But now the tread on that tire is worn and it's time to put a new tire on. And all those weapons, Mike Evans is still good, but he ain't the Mike Evans that won a Super Bowl. Chris Godwin's still good, but he's got years on him. Leonard Fournette, I don't even think he's playing. I don't think a team has picked him up yet. They're hurting right now. Gronk is gone. The other, what's his name? Brait is the other tight end, still unproven. So whoever wins this competition is basically starting from scratch offensively. Because even the OC, this is his first year there. You know, the defense, oh, wait, let me not skip around. Keith Armstrong played at Temple, had a connection with Bruce Arians. It's not a surprise he's with this team. They obviously know each other well. Bruce Arians liked him and believed in him, brought him over. Todd Bowles being a Temple guy too, showing loyalty, that's great. Those numbers of never having a kick returned on them in like 11 seasons, I think that's awesome. And their kick returners did pick up good yardage. So I guess the guy knows what he's doing. Their special teams, I've never witnessed or actually heard any bad thing about their special teams units being weak. They usually keep a pretty good kicker. So kudos to him for that. Todd Bowles is a big proponent of the Tampa 2 defense. As long as he's in Tampa, he's going to run the Tampa 2. And as long as he's running the Tampa 2, it doesn't make sense to have anybody else run it. Who else are they going to bring in to be the defensive coordinator that knows more about the defense they run than Todd Bowles? So I have no problem with that. Like I said, the offensive coordinator is a new guy. He's going to be starting off with a new quarterback, maybe even a new offensive system. So we'll have to see. So as a head coach, Todd Bowles has his man. It's not going to be easy. I'm hoping that he can hold on to the job. He may be on the hot seat, depending on how well they do a quarterback. But I will say this: the GM has had a lot of success in the NFL. He's worked with a lot of really great head coaches. He's made a lot of really good picks. If anybody can rebuild this team quickly, I would say it would be Jason Licht. This guy obviously knows what he's doing. His scouting background has served him well. That's about it.
Well, the number one thing that physical attribute that Trask has over Baker is height. Baker's 6'1", Trask 6'5". But like I said, I'm really was surprised at how they ranked him relative to strength. So we'll have to see. But like you said, when you say stand tall, that's what he can do because he is, right there. He's tall, so he's that height factor. The NFL right now, they like the height, but they also like the athleticism. So, there's always a trade-off there. All right. That's our brain trust for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Next up, the Carolina Panthers. GM, Scott Fitterer. Head coach, Frank Reich. Remember I said long histories? Frank Reich. OC, Thomas Brown. DC, Ajero Evero. Special team coach, Chris Tabor. And quarterback, why do I have Baker Bryce Young there? Jeez, I have to fix that. Bryce Young.
Because it used to be Baker Mayfield.
It used to be Baker Mayfield. That's right. Bryce Young. Let's just go through it because again, these guys have some serious histories. Carolina Panthers last year, 7 wins, 10 losses. All right. They had a net point ranking of 23 with a minus 1.6 net points. Their points for ranking was 20th. They were scoring 20.4 points a game, and their ranking against 19, they was giving up 22 points per game. Average is not bad. They were 25th in turnover differential with negative 0.2 turnovers per game. Now, Scott Fitterer, Ben, started out with your New York Giants as a part-time scout. He became the West Area scout a little later on, then went on to work with the Seattle Seahawks as an area scout and director of college scouting, and also the co-director of player personnel, and then became the vice president of football operations. So he pretty much cut his teeth with the Seattle Seahawks, or grew, I guess I should say, cut his teeth with the Giants and then grew with the Seattle Seahawks before going to the Panthers. Now, with the Seahawks, he was responsible for the evaluation of all draft eligible players nationally and had oversight over the Seahawks college scouting staff, and worked closely with the GM on every aspect of the draft. Okay. The players in that time frame he was with them, they drafted players such as Tyler Lockett, Shaquille Griffin, Trey Flowers, and DK Metcalf.
Yes. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Let me see here. Over his 20-year stretch with the Seahawks, Seattle was second in the NFC with 188 regular season wins, tied with Green Bay for the most postseason wins among NFC teams. Before Seattle, he was with the Giants, as I said, as a part-time scout, and then became the West Coast region scout for them. He was a two-sport athlete in college, playing quarterback and pitcher at UCLA and LSU. He was a 1995 draft pick of the Toronto Blue Jays. Spent 3 years in Toronto's minor league system before his career ended due to 3 shoulder surgeries. He returned to UCLA and got his undergraduate degree in history. He was born in Washington and is a graduate of the Kennedy High School in Seattle. So that's the GM, Scott Fitterer. He was a player, a little bit of baseball experience there. Now, I'm trying to go through Frank Reich quickly, but there's a lot here for Frank. You got his playing career, which ranged from 1985 to 1998, and then his coaching career, which started in 2006. He is the sixth head coach in the history of the franchise for the Panthers. Most recently served as head coach for the Colts. Has more than 30 years of NFL experience as a player and a coach, including serving as the Panthers' first starting quarterback in franchise history. I didn't know that. After signing with the team during its inaugural season, he threw the first touchdown pass in franchise history. In his first season as head coach, he led the Colts to a playoff for the first time since 2014. After starting 1-5, they won 9 of their last 10 games. Now, if there's one 2-syllable word that you have to give Frank Reich, I'm gonna say it now, and we'll see it more in the history. Comeback. Am I correct, Benny?
Yes.
So that's a comeback for the team right there. He became just the third head coach in Colts history to win a playoff game in his first year, and was named AFC Coach of the Year for the 2018 season. He spent 2016 and 17 as offensive coordinator for one Philadelphia Eagles and was instrumental in the team's Super Bowl 52 championship. He helped then rookie. Now, this is interesting because we know Wentz was good, right? But here's a little bit of his accomplishments. He helped rookie Wentz make the transition from North Dakota State to the pros. Wentz started all 16 games and set a franchise and then NFL rookie record for completions. He established the Eagles rookie record in pass attempts, passing yards, completion percentage, 62.4%, passing touchdowns, and passer rating. We know he got hurt, right? Once he got hurt, then Frank Reich got a new quarterback, a backup named Foles.
Wait, hold on a second. Let's make sure we're clear. He played all 16 games his rookie season. He got hurt his second season.
Okay. Second season he got hurt, right. Foles came in his second season and led Philadelphia to wins over the Falcons in the division, NFC division, the Vikings in the NFC Championship, and the Patriots in the Super Bowl 52 for the team's first ever Super Bowl championship. And that one, Foles was named MVP, completed 28 of 43 passes for 373 yards, 1 interception for 106.1 passer rating, and caught a 1-yard touchdown, and became the first quarterback in history to throw and catch a touchdown in a Super Bowl. Frank Reich. Before Philly, he spent 3 seasons with the Chargers as an offensive coordinator, and he worked with Rivers. Well, with Rivers, he threw for 4,000 yards and 3 straight seasons for a total of 13,556 yards, marking the third most passing yards by an NFL quarterback during that time. The Chargers ranked 3rd in completion percentage during his time, 3rd in completions, 4th in completion percentage, and 5th in net passing yards. He also was the quarterback's coach with the Chargers and helped with Phillip Rivers in his first year. Rivers led the NFL with a career-high 69.5 completion percentage. Before San Diego, he coached wide receivers for the Cardinals and worked with one Larry Fitzgerald. Began his coaching career in 2006 as an intern with the Colts and then became an offensive assistant. Spent 6 seasons with the Colts as a wide receivers coach and quarterback coach and offensive assistant. They earned 5 playoff appearances, 4 AFC division titles, 2 AFC championships, 2 Super Bowl appearances, and 1 Super Bowl title. 2009 to 10, he was the position coach for Manning. In his first season as quarterback coach, Manning was named NFL MVP. Okay, well, we know about the Manning playing career. Now, he played 14 years in the NFL. He was with the Bills, the Panthers, the Jets, and the Lions. The Bills selected him in the 3rd round overall in the 1985 draft. He was the backup to Hall of Fame quarterback Jim Kelly. During his time in Buffalo, he was part of the Bills team that went to 4 straight Super Bowls and appeared in 5 AFC championships and captured 5 division titles. Although he didn't play a lot, he was called upon in the 1992 playoffs after Kelly sprained his right knee and was forced to sit out. He made his first postseason start in 1992 wild card and engineered what is still the greatest comeback in NFL postseason history. With the Bills trailing the Oilers by 32 points in the 3rd quarter, Reich orchestrated 5 second-half touchdown drives, 4 of which were capped by touchdown passes, and led a game-winning field goal drive in overtime to defeat Houston 41-38. Now, he started the next week in a division round win at Pittsburgh, and the Bills went on to make an appearance in Super Bowl 27, I believe that is. I hope I have my Roman numerals right. Let's see. He's out of New York, attended Cedar Crest High School, played collegiately at the University of Maryland, where he backed up Boomer Esiason. So he knows what it is to be a backup and became a starter his senior year. Now check this out. As a senior, he rallied the Terrapins from a 31-0 deficit to defeat the Miami Hurricanes 42-40. At the time, marking the greatest comeback win in college football history, is now only second to Michigan State's 2008 35-point comeback over Northwestern. So he did this in college too. Jiminy Christmas. He graduated from Maryland in '94 with a business degree. He spent some time in 1988 after his playing career and joined the Reformed Theological Seminary in Charlotte. He graduated and led RTS for 3 years and then pastored a local church. So he, Frank Reich, that's a hell of a career right there. You know, 2 of the biggest comebacks, one at the NFL level and then one at the college level. Now, you probably remember that better than I. Well, I don't even remember the college. I'm not even going to fake that one. Thomas Brown is the offensive coordinator. He was most recently the assistant head coach and tight end coach for the LA Rams in 2022. He joined them as a running backs coach after 9 seasons in the collegiate ranks. In 2021, he added assistant head coach to his title. Under him, the Rams rushing attack in 2021 helped the team to the Super Bowl 56 victory in Los Angeles, where the Rams ranked 7th in the NFL in points scored and 9th in total yards. He served as a running backs coach at the University of South Carolina in 2019 and saw a balanced rushing attack, which included 2 running backs with over 500 yards on the year. Before joining South Carolina, he spent 3 seasons as a Miami Hurricanes offensive coordinator and running back coach. Spent 2015 season at the University of Georgia, coaching a group that included Sony Michel. Spent 2014 at the University of Wisconsin, coaching Heisman Trophy runner-up Melvin Gordon. Didn't know that was him. Under his leadership, Gordon posted the second best season by a running back with 2,587 rushing yards and 32 total touchdowns. Gordon combined with fellow running back Corey Clement to run for 3,538 yards on the year, breaking the single season FBS record for rushing yards by teammates. Wisconsin's 6.91 yards per rushing attempt average in the 2014 season was the fourth best in FBS history. So we had our boy Corey in there, Benny. He was a running back at Marshall in 2013 and the University of Tennessee in 2012. He spent running back coach. Spent 2011 season as the assistant head coach at Georgia. He was selected in the 6th round of the 2008 draft by the Atlanta Falcons and spent the 2009 season with the Cleveland Browns before retiring to pursue coaching. He played collegiately at Georgia, helping the Bulldogs to the 2005 SEC championship. Attended Tucker High School and is a Tucker, Georgia native, has a bachelor's degree in speech communication from Georgia. So Thomas Brown ain't no joke, man. Ahiro Evero, DC defensive coordinator. Again, going back to 2005, I'm going to kind of run through Ahiro a little bit. University of California, Davis as an assistant coach. He went with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in 2007 as a defensive quality control. 2010, University of Redlands as a special teams coordinator. 2011, he joined my beloved 49ers as a quality control coach, became an offensive assistant, a defensive assistant, went to Green Bay as a defensive quality control coach, spent 2017 to 2020 working with the Rams safeties, and then became the secondary pass game coordinator. In 2022, he was with the Denver Broncos as a defensive coordinator and now is with the Carolina Panthers as a defensive coordinator. So Mr. Ahiro has 17 total years of coaching experience. In this time with the Rams, they ranked tied for third in interceptions and had 10 different players record at least one pick, surrendering only 18.8 points per game en route to a 2023 victory over Cincinnati in Super Bowl 56. So he's got a Super Bowl in his resume. Worked with Don Capers in 2016 at the Packers. He coached at the D3 University of Redlands in 2010. Came into NFL as a defensive quality control coach for Tampa Bay. As a player, he was a 4-year letterman at UC Davis playing safety. He was a 2-time captain and was twice named Division II All-American. In addition to his undergraduate degree, he has a master's degree in business administration from National University. So that's Mr. Ahiro. Chris Tabor is a special teams coordinator coming out of Central Michigan University in 1995 as an offensive coordinator. 1997, University of Missouri as a graduate assistant. 2000, University of Missouri running back special teams. 2001, Culver Stockton College as the head coach. 2002 to 4, Utah State assistant head coach, wide receivers. 2005, Utah running back coach. 2006, Western Michigan University running backs and special teams. 2008, Chicago Bears assistant special teams. The Browns in 2011 through 17, special teams coordinator. The Bears in 2018, again, special teams, and the Panthers in 2022. Just going back to see some of his accomplishments, he helped a number of people in terms of special teams. One of the names that popped up with him was Cordero Patterson, 2020. He led the NFC kick returners for the second straight season in both kick return average and kick return yards. Patterson made NFL history in Week 10 by returning a kickoff 104 yards for a touchdown, a Bears record, and his 8th career kickoff return for a touchdown, tying an NFL record. So he's helped numerous players set NFL and franchise records. He's helped a number of those. He spent, let's see, he spent 2 seasons at Western Michigan as a running backs coach, and he helped. He was also in charge of wide receivers. Head coach at Culver State, we talked about that. Graduated from Benedictine College, where he played 4 seasons at quarterback, has a master's degree in education. And so that is your special teams coordinator, Chris Tabor. Bryce Young, Benny, is their quarterback. There is no Madden rating for the rookie. He has none yet. However, his backup is Andy Dalton. And there was at first a question as to whether Andy was going to try to be the starter, but eventually he had that talk with the coach, and it was like, no, Bryce is going to take the first team reps. And so he's pretty much accepted that. His Madden ratings overall, Andy Dalton is rated 73, speed 73, acceleration 67, strength 54, agility 73, and awareness 73. So at least they give him some awareness for all of that experience that he has. So that wraps up the NFL Brain Trust for the Carolina Panthers. There you go. How you like that group?
Well, I would have to say right off the bat, we can let this Andy Dalton stuff go by the wayside. When you're a quarterback and you're the number 1 pick overall in the draft, you're going to start. Unless you break something. I don't care how bad you are in training camp. You're starting, buddy.
You're starting, eh?
You're starting. Special teams coach Tabor, sounds like most of his career has been spent with various colleges and all, but he seems to be pretty successful at what he does. The DC was part of the, oh, no, he wasn't part of. He was actually the DC for the Denver Broncos last year. And if you remember correctly, we used to marvel week after week about how good Denver's defense played as opposed to how poorly their offense played. He was the defensive coordinator for that team. That's a plus. The minus is this is his first year as defensive coordinator on a new team, the Panthers. So we'll have to wait and see how he does with his new team. Also new on the scene is the offensive coordinator, Mr. Brown, who seems to have his most success as a running backs coach. He's been with several teams. He's been with several good running backs, and he's had success on those teams with their running game. But let's face it, Frank Reich is the head coach, and Frank Reich is probably going to be calling the plays. So here we have another situation where the offensive coordinator is going to do most of his work either he's going to do most of his work during the week in preparation for the games and up in the booth talking to the guy that's calling the plays down on the field, which would be Frank Reich. Mr. Fitterer has been around for a little while. He's got a lot of scouting experience, which most of these GMs, especially the successful ones, have. So I think Mr. Fitterer is the right guy for the job. But with all your coaching staff pretty much being a first-year coaching staff, remains to be seen how well they do. But they got nowhere to go but up. Got a rookie quarterback. They made a few additions to the team through free agency. They got Adam Thielen away from the Vikings, even though they lost DJ Moore. But their run game, they got Deontay Foreman and a couple other guys. I forget their names. So I think they'll be okay. They're not a total disaster. They've got things to work with, but how well they do remains to be seen.
Okay, Benny, next up we have the NFL Brain Trust for the New Orleans Saints. We have general manager Mickey Loomis, head coach Dennis Allen, offensive coordinator Pete Carmichael, defensive coordinator Joe Woods, special teams coordinator Darren Rizzi, and brand new to the team, quarterback Derek Carr. Let's talk about GM Mickey Loomis right off. Mickey Loomis was promoted to the general manager in 2002 and earned the additional title of executive vice president later that year. The departments under his direction include coaching, player personnel, scouting, salary cap management, contract negotiation, athletic training, equipment, video, and communication. He also oversees the basketball operations of the New Orleans Pelicans. I'm tired already. Gee, me Christmas.
And wait a minute, he was promoted to GM of the Saints in 2002, right?
Yes.
Okay. So he's been with the Saints since 2002. That's big.
In 2006, after being the key figure in the hiring of Sean Payton, the signing of Drew Brees, and essentially rebuilding a team that would advance to the NFC Championship, Loomis was voted the NFL Executive of the Year by Pro Football Weekly, the Pro Football Writers of America. He was also honored by the Sporting News as the George Young Executive of the Year, an award voted on annually by NFL front office executives and owners. He's
That's an
continued
award
to build
named
on
after
success.
George Young.
Say that again?
Award named after George Young.
I don't know who George Young is. Tell me.
George Young was the GM of the New York Giants back in the day.
Ah, no wonder you know so much
So
about
when you get an award named after you, that tells you something.
Well, that does tell you something. That is true. That is true. He continued to build on his success in 2006, highlighted by 5 postseason appearances, 3 division titles, and a Super Bowl victory. He joined the club as director of football administration, a post that he held till 2002. And he's always been involved with the contracts, the salary cap, all of that kind of good stuff. He also served during that time of Hurricane Katrina, where they had to do all of the stuff with the stadium to help people have a place to stay while that catastrophe was happening. He has overseen 2 extensive renovations of the Saints headquarters, giving the club one of the NFL's top training complexes. Now, he did spend 15 years with the Seattle Seahawks, including as executive VP from 1992 to 1998. He joined the Seahawks in 1983 and was promoted to VP of Finance in 90 and executive VP in 92. He is out of Eugene, Oregon. He has a degree in accounting from the University of Oregon and a master's degree in sports administration from Wichita State University. So Mickey Loomis is no joke, man. Now, Dennis Allen, it comes to us as the head coach. He played for Texas A&M back in 1992. He coached at Texas A&M from 96 to 99, Tulsa in 2000, the Falcons in 2002 to 05, the Saints in 06 to 10, the Broncos in 2011, the Raiders as head coach 2012 to 14, and then Saints in 2015. So he's in his 27th year in coaching, 21st in the NFL. He was recruited to play at Texas A&M by R.C. Slocum. I don't know if you know who that is. I don't.
Yep.
You can tell us later. He was on the staff of Super Bowl, what is that? 44 champion head coach, champion with Sean Payton for 12 seasons, and also with Super Bowl participants John Fox and Dan Reeves. He was promoted to head coach after spending the past 6.5 seasons as the defensive coordinator for the Saints. So we have a defensive guy. During his tenure as assistant under Payton, he's been part of staff that have qualified for the playoffs 7 times, captured the NFC South Division title 6 times, reached the NFC Championship game 3 times and won the Super Bowl in 44, Super Bowl 44. Let's see here. So, number one, I can't wait for Saints Broncos now. This is giving me a whole nother perspective on that. Let's see. He served as the head coach for the Raiders from 2012 to 2014. He served as the defensive coordinator for the Broncos, led the defense that helped the Broncos win the AFC West Division crown and advance to the AFC Division round with an AFC wild card victory. He was part of the defensive coaching staff that engineered significant improvements with the secondary. I believe that was with New Orleans. In his first year in 2002 with the Falcons, he assisted in coaching the defensive backfield. He joined the Saints after a 4-year stint with the Falcons, where he spent his final 2 years as defensive assistant quality control with an emphasis on working with the defensive line. He worked as a secondary coach for the University of Tulsa back in 2000, and he was on the coaching staff for 4 years at his alma mater, Texas A&M, as a graduate assistant, working primarily with the school's secondary. He's out of Hurst, Texas, where he earned 4 letters at Texas A&M as a safety. A highlight was his fourth quarter interception that clinched an 18-9 victory over Texas in 1993, sending the Aggies to their 3rd straight Cotton Bowl. He collected Southwest Conference Defensive Player of the Week honors after intercepting 2 passes in a 36-14 win over Oklahoma in 1994. He was signed as an undrafted free agent by the Bills and competed in their training camp in 96. His late father, Grady, played at Texas A&M and was a linebacker for the Falcons from 1968 to 1972. So there you go, Dennis Allen. One of the things that this was just brought to mind, top of mind, again, you look at some of the success that these guys had in college, and then they pretty much go undrafted in the NFL. And it's like, this happens from a mass number perspective. You know what I mean? Somebody can say, oh, there was so many graduates, 10,000 graduates. I'm just throwing a number out there out of college, and only out of that group, 30 are going to get a job. They always say that. But here you see the stories of guys who had serious success in college. I mean, we just talked about Corey Clement in the history books for rushing yardage and things of that nature at Wisconsin, and then went undrafted. So it is an interesting scenario, and it just kind of points out the magnitude of the opportunity if you actually get in to the NFL. And a lot of these guys wind up in coaching. So, that's Mr. Allen. Now, their offensive coordinator, Mr. Pete Carmichael, back in 94, he coached in New Hampshire, Louisiana Tech in 95, and Cleveland Browns in 2000, Washington 2001, the Chargers in 2002 to 5, and the Saints in 2006. So he has been around. He is in his 15th season as New Orleans Saints offensive coordinator after tutoring the quarterbacks in the first 3 years with the club. He guided in 2020 a Saints offense that ranked number 6 in rushing and had a league best 30 rushing touchdowns, a team record, and tied for 6. It's funny. I see these coordinators and you see these stats, and you start to wonder, okay, well, who did he have running for him? When you start seeing some of the talent, I don't know if it subtracts from the coordinators, or do you have to give them credit for it? Number one, utilizing those guys in a correct manner. In 2019, under his guidance, the Saints set an NFL record with the fewest turnovers in NFL history as they finished the regular season 13-3 and captured their 3rd consecutive NFC South Division championship. In 2018, he got an offense that finished 3rd in NFL in points per game at 31.5 points per game. en route to a 13-3 record in the NFC South title for a second straight season. 2017, he coordinated a balanced offense that finished second in the NFL with 391.2 yards per game, with the Saints the only club to be ranked in the top 5, both in passing at 5th and rushing also at 5th. So they've had some serious success with him. His first season in 2009 with his new title with the Saints finished in the top 5 in 7 offensive categories while racking up NFL best 510 points. He has a wide range of coaching experience, including working with nearly every position group on offense. For his first 2 NFL positions, he was a quality control coach in Washington. Did we ever find out what quality control coaches do?
Oh, I can't remember. I looked it up once before. I can't.
I'm pretty sure we did, yeah. We'll have to go back to that. He was a quarterback coach at Louisiana Tech in 1995, where his quarterbacks broke almost every school passing record, beginning his coaching career as an assistant offensive line coach at the University of New Hampshire, with the Wildcats winning the Yankee Conference Championship. He's from Framingham, Massachusetts, where he played football and baseball. He was a 4-year baseball letterman at Boston College and the team captain and MVP, graduating with a degree in math. His late father, Pete Carmichael Sr., was a football coach with more than 40 years of coaching experience at high school, college, and NFL. He had 18 years at Boston College and 9 years with the Jaguars. He was with the Browns and the Bears. So he's got the coaching genetics going for him there. Let's talk a little bit about defensive coordinator Joe Woods. He's in his first season as the Saints defensive coordinator. He's a 31-year coaching veteran, including the last 19 in the NFL. This is his 6th NFL season as a defensive coordinator after spending the last 3 with the Browns. When he got to the Browns, he helped the Browns reach the playoffs for the first time since 2002. During his tenure in Cleveland, he served as a defensive backs pass game coordinator for the Super Bowl 54 finalists, prior to being in Cleveland. He was with my 49ers with the Super Bowl 54 in 2019, when we held opponents to 169.2 yards passing per game, ranking first in the NFL, and the lowest total allowed by an NFL team since 2009. We also led the league with 21 forced fumbles and finished in the top 8 in 9 other major categories. He spent 4 seasons in Denver as a D-backs coach. He worked with Von Miller and rookie linebacker Bradley Chubb. Prior to his promotion to defensive coordinator, he was the defensive backs coach to first place rankings in the NFL in passing yards per game allowed in both 2015 and 2016. He was with the Oakland Raiders, coaching their secondary, working with Pro Football Hall of Fame DB Charles Woodson. We know what Woodson did. He spent 8 seasons coaching D-backs for the Vikings. During that time frame, 2006 to 13, the Vikings finished in the NFL's top 10 defenses in 4 of his first 5 years with the team. They won some NFC championships back in those days. Worked with Mike Tomlin, as a matter of fact. He was the defensive back coach for 3 seasons at Western Michigan and worked with in the same position with Hofstra, helping the school make consecutive trips to the 1AA playoff quarterfinals. He was also at Kent State, Grand Valley State, and Northwestern University. Started coaching as a D-backs coach at Muskingum College in '92. Moved on to become the graduate assistant at Eastern Michigan University. He lettered 4 times as a cornerback and safety in his college career at Illinois State, graduated in '92 with a degree in criminal justice. He was a team captain as a senior and went on to earn first team All Gateway Conference following his final season. He's out of Virginia. So there you go. Mr. Dan Rizzi is the special teams coordinator. He played at Rhode Island back in 1989, Benny. He coached for Colgate in 93, New Haven in 94, Northeastern in 98, New Haven again in 99, Rutgers in 2002, and Rhode Island. He was the head coach there. He was with the Miami Dolphins in 2008 and went to the Saints in 2019. He was named special teams coordinator for the Saints on February 11th, 2019, added the important role of assistant head coach. And you talked about how special teams coordinators get those assistant head coaching jobs. Let's see here. Units that he has coordinated in the past 11 seasons are ranked first in the NFL throughout that period with 13 blocked punts. He was an assistant at Rutgers, where he headed up the Scarlet Knights special teams unit and tutored running backs and linebackers and held the title of assistant head coach. Back then, he was a head coach at the University of New Haven, special teams and linebackers coach at Northwestern, and graduate assistant at Colgate. He played tight end at Rhode Island, where he first walked on in 1988 and was a consensus All-American in 1992. He was signed as a free agent by the Eagles. Didn't last long, and he went into coaching. He's out of Hillsdale, New Jersey, graduate of Bergen Catholic High School. He earned a degree in speech from URI. He was inducted into the Bergen Catholic Hall of Fame. He was a two-sport high school star, concluded his prep football career with 69 receptions, a school record which stood for 22 years, and excelled as an all-league outfielder. So that's our special teams coordinator, and that leads us to quarterback Derek Carr. Now, I don't have his picture here, but I also included information just for comparative purposes with one Jameis Winston, who is also still there with the Saints. Derek Carr is rated overall on Madden at 77. They gave him an 82 speed and 85 acceleration, which is pretty good. His strength was 61, not too bad. His agility 79, his awareness 74. So that's pretty good right there, actually. Jameis Winston, comparatively, overall rated 70, speed 78, acceleration 72, strength 72. That's only one of the few places where he best Derek Carr. Agility 78 and awareness 63. So they gave Jameis a 63 in awareness. So there's your brain trust, Benny, for the New Orleans Saints. What do you think?
Well, first of all, Mickey Loomis is one of those few GMs that has held his job for a good number of years. He's been there for a long time. He's well liked. He's well trusted by the owner. And he has pretty much done his job to keep New Orleans in the hunt year after year after year. They've had very few down years since he's been in charge there as the GM. Dennis Allen is a very good coach, has been around for a long time and has been a head coach before with the Oakland Raiders. And I remember when he took over the Oakland Raiders, they weren't very good, if I remember correctly. And I think he was there for 2 years, I believe, and they showed improvement. I was kind of surprised when they let him go. I believe they fired him for whatever reason. I don't know who they brought in after him. That might have been before John Gruden. I think they went with the big name. I could be wrong, but I believe they fired Dennis Allen and went with John Gruden.
I do remember having conversations with you where we talked about how well he did, and we were surprised that he got let go. We were like, this guy looked like he got something going on there.
Right. So he kind of proved himself as being able to be a leader and handle a head coaching job. So much so that you look at the offensive coordinator, Pete Carmichael, who basically was with San Diego when the Chargers were in San Diego at the same time Drew Brees was in San Diego, and came to New Orleans at the same time Drew Brees came to New Orleans, and coached Drew Brees through his entire Saints career. So Pete Carmichael has been with the Saints much longer than Dennis Allen in an offensive coordinator role. Well, not the whole time, but he was quarterback coach, running back coach, receiver coach, whatever. All those other things that he did while he was on the team, but pretty much oversaw the Drew Brees era in New Orleans, which was a pretty good era. Yet they thought enough of Dennis Allen to bring him in as the head coach instead of what looked like Pete Carmichael should have been the heir apparent. That's just, you know what I mean? I'm looking at time served and accomplishments with somebody who's been there, yet they still chose to bring in someone else. So again, there could be any reason for that. I don't know what it could be. But
I guess the they here is Mr. Loomis, who we've given kudos to.
Yes, who's proven that he knows what the heck he's doing. So who am I to argue? You know? Now, Joe Woods has been a very successful defensive coach. He's been around college-wise. He's also, isn't this like the third different team we talked about? Somebody working with the Denver Broncos defense?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, Joe Woods was the DB coach and defensive coordinator for the Broncos back between 2015 and 2018. So he knows his way around the defense. He worked with the D-backs at your team, the 49ers, and he was also defensive coordinator with the Browns last year. So this guy's got the credentials. And from what I'm hearing as I'm doing my fantasy homework for this upcoming season, the Saints are looking pretty good to be one of the top defenses in the league. Whether or not that actually happens, I don't know. But personnel-wise, they seem to feel pretty good about themselves. So Joe Woods should be taking over a pretty good squad there on the Saints defense. Darren Rizzi, special teams guy, what can you say? The guy's been around a little bit.
Yeah.
He played in the NFL. He played special teams in the NFL, right? Did I hear that?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay. All right. That's cool. So I don't have a whole lot to say about him. But the guy who's really the most important guy right now on this team is Derek Carr. Okay. We can say what we want about Dennis Allen and the job he did his first year there last year. We can say what we want about Pete Carmichael, but they were hamstrung with Jameis Winston underachieving and Andy Dalton looking like he had half a brain. And then going back and forth with this Taysom Hill thing, it was really hit or miss last year with them, and they still didn't have a terrible season. But Derek Carr, I believe they're looking at as being their savior. I don't think they felt they were in position to really make a move for a quarterback in this draft. And it's possible that they will do that in next year's draft. But right now, they feel like Derek Carr is their best chance to get back to the playoffs immediately. So he's going to be very important. He's got weapons. He's got a good coordinator. He's got a head coach who I'm not sure Derek Carr was there when Dennis Allen was there. I don't think so. But either way, this looks like a pretty strong group right here. I like these guys. Veteran offensive coordinator, veteran GM, been on the same team for a long time. I like it.
What's Derek Carr looking like in your fantasy leagues? Like, do you have a lot of demand for him now?
There's not a lot of demand. You know, the first few guys that are going to go are going to be Mahomes, Hurts, Lamar, Herbert, Josh. Yeah, they're the first guys. But then after that, it's a crapshoot.
Aaron, no AR?
Not really.
Wow.
After that, it's a crapshoot. So it's not so much people are doubting the quarterback. They're not sure about how they're going to do on their new team.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. All
Mhm.
right, there you go. Derek Carr, it's going to be interesting to see how that all works out with the Saints. Man, I can't wait. It's getting exciting. All right, Benny, the last team in the division, the NFL Brain Trust, the Atlanta Falcons. GM Terry Fontenot, head coach Arthur Smith, OC Dave Rangone, DC Ryan Nielsen, special team coach Marquise Williams. And I have both quarterbacks, Desmond Ritter and Taylor Heineke, listed here. Although Desmond was the starter at the end of the season last year. The Falcons had 7 wins, 10 losses in 2022. Their net point rankings were 20th at minus 1.2. Their offensive rankings, points for, was 15th. They were scoring 21.5 points per game, but they were giving up 22.7 points per game, ranking them 23rd defensively. And their turnover differential was 24th at negative 0.2. So right off the bat, we know that Ryan Nielsen is going to have his hands full. Let's start out, however, general manager Terry Fontenot. Now, Fontenot comes to the Falcons after spending the last 18 seasons as a member of the Saints. It's amazing, isn't it?
Same division. That is kind of amazing.
Yeah. He climbed the ladder from marketing intern to pro scout, eventually advancing to vice president, assistant general manager of pro personnel. He attended the Stanford Business School Executive Education NFL Stanford Program for Managers, an education program and honor known across the league as a training ground for promising executives. He's out of Lake Charles, Louisiana, where he was an all-state defensive back at LaGrange High School. He's a 4-year letterman at safety for Tulane, and he served as the team captain and was a member of the 2002 team that won the Hawaii Bowl. He graduated with a bachelor's degree in business and organizational information technology. So smart guy who got invited to the program for executives, the Stanford Business School Executive Education NFL Stanford Program for Managers. So, and they said it was an honor to be able to go to that. So that's Mr. Fontenot. Head coach Arthur Smith. He is the 18th head coach for the Falcons. He took over the club after serving as the Tennessee Titans offensive coordinator for the previous 2 seasons. Under Smith's guidance, 9-year veteran running back Cordero Patterson, this is the second time we've mentioned his name, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Set a single-season career high for rushing yards, receiving yards, touchdowns, and receiving touchdowns. Became the first player to record at least 5 rushing and 5 receiving touchdowns in a single season in franchise history. Additionally, and we remember we were a little excited at how they were using Cordero last year. Additionally, tight end Kyle Pitts became the second rookie tight end to surpass 1,000 receiving yards in NFL history, joining Pro Football Hall of Famer Mike Ditka, who did it back in 1961. Pitts broke the single-season franchise record for most receiving yards by a tight end with 1,026, surpassing Football Hall of Famer Tony Gonzalez, and set the record for most receiving yards by a rookie regardless of position, surpassing Julio Jones. He also became the first rookie tight end to be selected to a Pro Bowl since Jeremy Shockey. Well, that's one guy that was worth a laugh, wasn't it? He orchestrated one of the NFL's top offenses with the Titans, oversaw the second-ranked rushing attack, averaging 153.5 yards per game on the ground. And from 2019 to 20, the Titans were among the league's best in red zone with a 75 0.6, and 75% red zone touchdown percentages. But we know who they had running for them, don't we?
Yep.
Let's see here. We talked about the rushing attack. His offense averaged 30.7 points per game and 491 total points, which was good for fourth in the NFL and stands as the second highest mark in team history. He oversaw one of the most potent rushing attacks in league history as Derrick Henry became just the 8th player in NFL history to rush for more than 2,000 yards in a single season. He's also credited with revitalizing the career of one quarterback, Ryan Tannehill. Tannehill was named to the Pro Bowl for the first time in his career in 2019 after leading the NFL with 117.5. Passer rating, was named Comeback Player of the Year. I remember when that happened. He also fostered development of one A.J. Brown. In 2019, he helped the Titans to the team's first AFC Championship game appearance in 17 years. Tannehill and Henry became the 4th NFL teammates to lead the NFL in passer rating and rushing yards, respectively, since the current passer rating system was implemented in 1973. Well, there's a bit of trivia for you, Benny. The passer rating system was implemented in 1973.
Okay.
He served under 4 different head coaches, starting off as a defensive assistant quality control coach. He spent time as an offensive assistant quality control coach, offensive line tight ends assistant tight ends coach, before taking over as tight end coach during the 2015 season. He spent 2 years as a defensive quality control coach for the Washington football team, serving under legendary head coach Joe Gibbs. He also worked as a college scouting assistant for Washington. He worked at Ole Miss as an administrative assistant, defensive intern. There's that word intern again, Benny. Primarily working with the linebackers. He graduated from North Carolina, where he played offensive line and later joined the Tar Heels coaching staff. He was born and raised in Memphis, Tennessee, and went to high school at Georgetown Prep in North Bethesda, Maryland. Dave Rangone was hired as the Atlanta Falcons offensive coordinator in 2021. In 2022, Atlanta's offense led the NFL in fewest penalties, finished 3rd in the NFL in rushing yards per game, 10th in 3rd down conversion rates. Here's Cordero Patterson again, and Tyler Algier, Marcus Mariota, Caleb Huntley. The Falcons became the first team to have 4 players with at least 250 rushing yards through the first 8 games. Rookie quarterback Desmond Ridder started the final 4 games of the 2022 season and completed 73 of 115 passes. That's a 63.5% completion ratio for 708 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions for 86.4 passer rating. Ridder's 73 completions and 708 passing yards were the most by a player over his first 4 career starts in franchise history, and became the 3rd rookie to attempt at least 100 passes and not record an interception in his first 4 career starts, joining Dak Prescott and Gardner Minshew. Auspicious company there, right? First round selection, here's your boy Benny, and should I say Mark Russell's boy, Drake London. Finished his rookie season the most receptions by a rookie in franchise history, with Algier's 135 rushing yards and London's 866 receiving yards. The 2022 Atlanta Falcons became the 4th team to have a 1,000-yard rookie rusher and an 800-yard rookie receiver in the same season in NFL history, joining the 2010 Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 2004 Detroit Lions, and 2003 Houston Texans. In his first year at offensive coordinator, Atlanta was the only team to have a wide receiver, Russell Gage, tight end Kyle Pitts, and running back Cordero Patterson each recorded at least 50 receptions and 500 receiving yards. Rangone came to Atlanta after 5 seasons with the Bears. He spent the 2020 season as the team's passing game coordinator. Now, this is where he really had some unusual success, I would say. In 2019, he helped Mitchell Trubisky post 3,138 passing yards in just over 14 games, giving the signal caller back-to-back 3,000-yard passing seasons, a feat accomplished just twice before in franchise history, guiding Trubisky to Pro Bowl honors. That year, Trubisky became just the 6th quarterback in team history to throw for 3,000 yards in a season. His 4 games with a pass rating of at least 120 were the most in Bears' single-season history, and his 4 games with at least 300 yards passing tied the most in the club's single-season annals. He set the Bears' rookie record with 2,193 passing yards and 196 completions. Through his final 5 games, he completed more than 67% of his passes. Is this hilarious or what?
I'm sorry. I it all sounds really good, but if you know anything about the Chicago Bears, they don't have an illustrious array of former quarterbacks. So
and you say the bar was pretty low?
Yeah, the bar was pretty low as far as breaking quarterback records on the Bears.
But you know what it reminded me of? Well, Wentz. That rookie success, that early athleticism and success that he had.
Yeah.
Ragone worked on Jay Gruden's Washington staff, helping quarterbacks Kirk Cousins lead the NFL in completion percentage. He served as the Tennessee Titans quarterback coach in 2013. He worked as a quarterback coach for the Hartford Colonials of the UFL in 2010, helping Josh McCown lead the league in passer rating and touchdown passes. So as I said, Rangone worked as a quarterback coach for the Hartford Colonials of the UFL in 2010, helping Josh McCown lead the league in passer rating and touchdown passes. Do you remember the UFL?
Josh McCown? Was that an arena league?
I don't know. It says UFL. I don't know what league that is. I didn't have time to look that up. We'll have to figure that out.
I don't think it's worth
As an NFL player, Ragone spent 3 seasons as a quarterback with the Houston Texans back in 2003 to 2005. He spent time with the Berlin Thunder in 2005, being named NFL Europe's offensive MVP.
Wow.
Leading the league in passer rating, 97.5, and setting the NFLE record by throwing 174 consecutive passes without an interception. A 3-time Conference USA Offensive Player of the Year at Louisville, he led the Cardinals to 3 consecutive bowl games. He's from Middle Heights, Ohio, was an all-state selection at St. Ignatius High School in Cleveland, and in 2009, he was inducted into the St. Ignatius Athletics Hall of Fame. It sounds like me being inducted into the PTTFL.
No, I think yours is more prestigious.
Stop. Defensive coordinator Ryan Nielsen. He most recently serves as co-defensive coordinator and defensive line coach for the Saints. Again, same division, right? Let me see what he did here. Nielsen joined the Saints staff in 2017. New Orleans has recorded 281 sacks, second most in the NFL over that time period, and finished in the top 10 in sacks. The Saints also did not allow a 100-yard rusher in the NFL record 55 regular season and postseason games between 2017 and 2020, and have finished in the top 4 in run defense in 4 of the 5 past seasons. Before the Saints, he was a defensive line recruiting coordinator, run game coordinator at North Carolina State. A Broyles Award candidate in 2015 and 16, given annually to college football's top assistant coach. So he was a candidate. He coached at Northern Illinois from 2011 to 2012, including a 2012 season where he was co-defensive coordinator, assistant line coach, and helped the Huskies to the GoDaddy Bowl, GoDaddy.com Bowl. Served as a defensive line special teams coach at Tennessee Martin in 2010, where the Skyhawks led the Ohio Valley Conference in total defense. In 2008 to 09, he was a defensive coordinator and coach defensive line and linebackers at Central Connecticut State, where they won the Northeastern Conference Championship. He served as the defensive line coach at the University of Mississippi under Ed Orgeron. Did I say that right?
Orgeron.
Orgeron. All right, you know about that guy. He got to start coaching as a volunteer assistant at his alma mater, University of Southern California, USC. He started 30 games at defensive tackle, finished his college career with 107 career tackles, was voted the team's defensive lineman of the year, graduated a bachelor's degree in public policy and went to training camp with the Philadelphia Eagles. Did not work out. He wound up playing arena football for the Los Angeles Avengers in 2004. Special team coach Marquise Williams, hired by the Falcons in 2021. In 2022, Atlanta was one of 2 teams to have special teams units score multiple touchdowns during the season. Lorenzo Carter scoop and score off of a block punt in week 2, and a Cordero Patterson 103-yard kickoff return for a touchdown in week 11. That Cordero Patterson is all over the place, I'm telling you. He also coached Atlanta kicker Young-Ho Koo, who closed the 2022 season by making 12 of 12 field goals attempts, including 3 from 50-plus yards, earning him the NFC Special Teams Player of the Month for December and January. Following the 2022 season, the Atlanta's coaching staff was selected to coach the East team at the 2023 East-West Shrine Game in the first year with full coaching staffs from NFL teams. Williams represented the organization as the team's head coach. He spent 2 seasons with the Detroit Lions, where he served as an assistant special teams coach. During that time, Lions punter Jack Fox recorded the highest gross average, 49.1, and net average, 44.8, in a punter's first season in NFL history. Let's see here. He began his coaching career in 2010 as the linebackers assistant special teams coach at Winona State, and then moved on to Central Oklahoma and South Dakota. He participated in the NFL's Bill Walsh Minority Coaching Fellowship Program with the Lions, where he served as a coaching intern. There's that word again. For linebackers and special teams. He got his first opportunity with the Minority Coaching Fellowship with the Chicago Bears back in 2013. And he also served as the special teams coordinator for the East-West Shrine Game in 2017 and 18. He's out of Fresno. He was a 2-year starter at defensive back at Fresno City College before going on to play at the University of Maryland University of Mary and Notre Dame. All right, so that's our special teams coordinator, Marquise Williams. Now, when it came to the quarterbacks, again, I went with the very interesting in this particular case, Madden ratings. So let's just compare here Desmond Ridder and Taylor Heineke. And again, these are, their features, speed, strength, all of that kind of stuff. But overall, they're both rated 69. So they're absolute even in terms of the rating. Desmond's speed is 88, Heineke's is 84. Desmond's acceleration is 91, Heineke's is 87. Desmond's strength is 64, Heineke's is 58. Ritter's Agility is rated at 79. Heineke has 82. And Ritter's awareness at 65. Heineke is at 69. Overall, they're both rated at 69. So this is going to be an interesting quarterback battle when you got two guys. One guy's younger, maybe a little more athletic, not that much more. The other guy's at least, how many years Heineke got now? 2, 3? I believe he had with Washington.
3 going on 4, I believe.
Okay. So, that's going to be an interesting battle. We'll have to keep an eye on that during the preseason and see if Heineke can dislodge Desmond. But I do believe Desmond is the ongoing favorite as a starter as of right now. So, Benny, that completes the NFC South Brain Trust report.
Okay.
Let's hear what you got to say about the Atlanta Falcons.
Okay, here's one thing I found very interesting. Terry Fontenot, one of the few GMs that doesn't have scouting experience. However, he came up under the wing of Mickey Loomis, the guy we just talked about as the longtime GM of the Saints. So I got to give him credit for that. He's learned under one of the best. So even though he doesn't have scouting experience, as most GMs do, he's got that executive experience on the job working underneath Mickey Loomis. Arthur Smith has proven himself to be a very good offensive mind. I think he is going to continue to do well as the head coach of this team. He is a run game guru, okay, coming from Tennessee first with Derrick Henry. And then I believe overall, they led the league last year, the Falcons did, in rushing with, you know what I mean, all their running backs combined.
Right.
Without a doubt, the run game is the strength of their offense, without a doubt. Now, I don't know if he's going to be able to do for Ritter or Heineke what he did for Tannehill, but he did, in fact, resurrect Tannehill's career, because when he was with Miami, he was going nowhere, man. When he came over to Tennessee, Arthur Smith did him justice and really got him back on track. Dave Rangone, I don't know. He's been around, but like I said, you're talking about what he did for a guy that played quarterback for the Chicago Bears. If the guy's name's not Justin Fields, I really, you know what I mean? It's hard for me to give him a lot of credit for that, but I'm going to assume he knows his way around. I think this is going to be another situation where Arthur Smith pretty much is calling the plays, though. Ryan Nielsen has got his work cut out for him. He's been on the Falcons for a year or two already, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So he's got to get this defense back on track. Where was their offense ranked in our rankings in net points? And do you have that there in front of you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'll pull this up. Just give me a moment there. Because they were the lowest ranked in terms of win-loss.
Yeah, but offensively.
Offensively, points for 15th, 21.5 points.
Okay. About middle of the road almost.
Right there.
Okay. And defensively, they were?
Defensively.
20 what?
23rd.
Yeah, okay. So he's got his work cut out for him, because that's the clear-cut weakness of this team is their defense. I can't remember what they did in the draft or free agent-wise specifically for their defense, but like I said, he's got work to do. Marquise Williams has been around, should be a pretty good special teams coach continuing on for them. He's done wonders with their kick return and their kicker, Young Koo. Yeah, right, Koo. Yeah, he's one of the top kickers, one of the top field goal kickers. So kudos to Mr. Williams. Now, I believe that they are pretty much committed to Desmond Ritter. They picked up Desmond Ritter in the draft the year before the last one, and it's his job to lose as far as I'm concerned. I believe they brought Taylor Heineke in just as a solid backup, as a guy who has had starting experience in the league. So I mean, Taylor Heineke, I think, will be a solid backup for them if something happens to Ritter. But after all the time they took trying to set this offense around Marcus Mariota, they're pretty much bought in on the dual threat quarterback thing. And Desmond Ritter, I believe, is their guy. Now, that being said, and we'll finish with the division, as I've done previous weeks, I'm going to tell you right now, I believe the New Orleans Saints are the class of this division. The Atlanta Falcons, however, are the most interesting team as far as they could go this way or this way. I'm not exactly sure how to read them, but a lot of their success or failure is going to be determined by their defense. But I like the Saints to win this division hands down.
Okay. All right. Like the Saints. I can see that. I mean, let's face it. Best quarterback, I would think.
Yeah, the second best team will probably be the Buccaneers just because of their defense and the weapons that they have on offense. But the Falcons are going to be interesting.
Yeah, the Falcons have a lot of talent and they're creative. You know, the use of Kadero Patterson again. You know, he's one of those crazy weapons. So it's going to be very interesting to see that. Okay, but you like the Saints and Derek Carr as class of this particular division. All righty. So, Benny, that wraps up the NFC South. Next week, we will cover the AFC West. That's your team that pretty much is lining up against the NFC East this year, right? Of the
are they?
other conference.
Oh, I'd have to go back and look at the schedule again.
If I remember correctly, that's it. And that's one of the reasons
that's going to be tough.
Yeah, the NFC East, that their strength of schedule got a lot stronger this year than what it was last year.
That's going to be rough. AFC West is interesting.
Absolutely.
Very strong quarterback-wise.
So that's going to be an interesting situation. All right. Let's do a quick turnaround and take a quick look at our Facebook page. We only have a few things that we want to go over. Number one, we want to remind everybody that, again, Ben & Barry has been doing this now. Last week, we did the AFC South. So you can go back and take a look. If you go to Ben & Barry on Football on Facebook at BNBOF, you'll find this particular video, or just go to our YouTube channel where you'll see this. So, Benny, last week I was on vacation, and I posted this picture the day before we left. You have to consider, Benny, this is the 34th floor.
Wow. You were up in a cloud.
This was a beautiful view all week. Beach. Brigantine is right across the water where the people drive right up to the water in their car. The boats are going up and down, up and down. And I got up in the morning and I looked out and I saw that. Now, you gotta understand, I'm already scared of heights, so we don't go real close to the railing as it is. But we couldn't see anything beyond the railing on this particular day. But the fog did burn off, and it turned out to be a really nice day.
That's cool.
I just wanted to mention that. All right. I thought this was interesting, Benny. NFL salary rankings for 2023 total cash. This looks a bit wacky to me.
Why?
Well, I don't think your best quarterbacks are the highest paid quarterbacks.
Okay, when does that happen?
Well, that's why it looks weird, you know? Maybe weird is or abnormal is the normal. I guess that would be it. But Lamar coming in at 80 mil, Daniel Jones and Deshaun Watson at 46, Patrick Mahomes at only 40, and Kyler Murray at 39 million. Shouldn't even be that close to Patrick Mahomes. But this is an interesting salary ranking. Anything on this?
Well, when Kyler Murray got that deal, everybody said, "What the hell is wrong with the Cardinals?" I bet you Steve Kahn made that deal with him.
Uh-oh.
I'd like to go back and check on that.
Check on
They probably fired him after he did that deal. Then Patrick Mahomes came in with his really nice, really long-term, really team-friendly deal. And everybody was like amazed. Oh, this is great. He deserves that. And look what he did for the team and all the deferred money and this and that. And that was the model until Deshaun Watson, who didn't play for 2 years and then reset the entire market with the deal he got from the Cleveland Browns, to the point where GMs all over the league were cursing him out. And who took advantage? Daniel Jones of the New York Football Giants. Lamar, who the hell needs an agent? Jackson.
Jackson.
Bam.
The funny thing is Jalen Hurts isn't even in this list.
Isn't that crazy? Well, because it's annual salary, right?
It says 2023 total cash. So, you know.
I don't.
Well, we know Lamar got a slightly better deal than Hurts.
Yeah, it's slightly better.
Yeah.
Hurts should actually be on this list. I don't know why he isn't.
I'm not sure why he isn't either. But that's why it looked a little weird to me. So I
think he got a little bit less guarantee money.
Could be it. Could be it, you know. So
his deals is more team friendly too.
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
Yeah.
He had a very smart deal, but again, he had great representation. His agents, I think, did a really good job with that. Okay, so Ben and Barry on football, you can go to see that. Benny, I was this many years old before I knew this.
I did not know this, bro. This was news to me. I had no idea that Medgar Evers played football in college. I did not know that.
No clue. No clue. You know, at Alcorn State, where him and his brother Charles Evers, and he was the running back. I believe Charles played line. And he's hitting the Heisman.
Yeah, isn't that something? Hitting the Heisman pose.
He's hitting the Heisman pose on you. A little low, but the Heisman pose nonetheless. And Benny, is that a leather helmet?
That is a leather helmet.
Ladies and germs, there you go. The history of football, leather helmet and all. Alcorn State. Absolutely amazing. One of the great civil rights.
Alcorn, Mississippi.
One of the great civil rights leaders of our generation, or of any generation, Medgar Evers. Football is definitely life, no doubt about it. So, ladies and gentlemen, before I say thank you for following, please leave comments and suggestions. I will say, Benny, got any last words?
Yeah, I thought I had a rant this week, and this goes to show, please, folks, especially you older people, supposedly more mature people, don't jump on this social media stuff when you see it, when people are going, Don't, please, do your research, check it out. I almost killed myself when this guy, I saw this on TikTok, I think. Guy comes on and says, there's some new rules in the NFL. And one of them is you can't make a forward handoff anymore. And if you can't make a forward handoff anymore, that basically kills the read option. And I was like, nah, that's not the rule. That's not the rule.
Okay, so you did your homework.
Yeah,
You bumped that myth.
If they made a rule like that, would that not be on television 24/7?
24/7, especially all of the read option that team is now, the league rather, is now utilizing across, across so many teams, et cetera.
Yes.
So
that's like taking one leg off of every dual threat quarterback.
yeah, for sure. For sure. Which and it sort of completely defeats a lot of the drafting and stuff that's going on.
Exactly.
So that's interesting. I don't have a rant. I do want to ask you just quickly an NBA question.
Okay.
Did you get a chance to see Wembanyama?
Yeah, yeah. I'm not going to say I was disappointed because I kind of kept thinking to myself, once this guy gets in the NBA, he's going to have some challenges. He's going to have some challenges. I'm not exactly sure what they are, but I got a funny feeling that he's not going to shoot as well as he did against them other dudes. Okay. So I'm watching the Summer League game, and 3/4 of those guys are never going to make it in the NBA regular season. Maybe they'll be on a bench or in the G League if they're lucky. Okay. And he's getting out-dueled for rebounds by 6'6" dudes. Bro, he's got some work to do.
I got the feeling that they told him, don't go out there and hurt yourself.
Nah.
Where I think a lot of these guys, like you said, they're not even, they'll be lucky if they make the G League. So for them, it's all out. They had the one guy with the green hair that slammed on them.
He's 7'4".
I realize that.
The ball comes off the rim. He's right there. And this dude jumps up and snatches it away from it. No excuse. No excuse.
He's no monster at this point. But I will say this much, Benny. His shooting seems to leave something to be desired. If I was
He'll get better though.
I think so. It'll get better.
Yeah.
I think if there was anybody, if I was him that I'd watch, it would be the Joker. Because if he ever learns that little 5-foot turnaround push shot like the Joker does, he'll score. He'll be pushing up in the 30s. The
first thing he's got to do is got to get in. You got to get in the gym. You got to get in the weight room.
Oh, there's no doubt about that.
First of all,
remember who was it? Was it Bradley? Remember when he came to the Sixers and they were trying to feed him steak sandwiches?
Oh yeah, that was a lost cause. That was stupid. That dude was frail. I don't consider this guy frail. I just think he can take some more weight on his frame.
Yeah,
he's got to learn some low post moves because that height is too much to waste. But I would never take away his long range shooting. I think it's in him. It'll come.
And he can handle the ball. He can handle
he can handle the
ball.
ball.
The thing that I saw from media when they kept asking, what do you think he should, what would be a success, for you? What would you looking for? He's like, well, I need him to score 20 points or I need him to do this. I heard no one say anything about his passing. And if there was one bright spot in that game, I think that was it. Right there.
And he's gonna block 4 shots a game.
Yeah. So, that's what I was saying. To me, it's the Joker. That's the one who has, with the height and the passing capability.
And he's a phenomenal passer.
Phenomenal passer. And if you get anywhere in the lane and you can just turn around and go up, you know what I mean? It's absolutely amazing. So I thought it was interesting to watch. And all the celebrities and all the attention that came to the spring league basketball, I think was good for the league.
Yeah, he's going to sell out everywhere he goes.
Yeah.
But and it kind of brings notoriety back to the Spurs because last season the Spurs were like, "You want to go to the Spurs game? Nah." People in San Antonio was like, "You want tickets? Nah." But now everybody wants to see this guy, and there's no doubt in my mind his ceiling is way up there. So there's no telling what this guy's going to turn into, but I think it's going to be a big success in the end.
All right. Well, that's it for me, Benny. Is that it for you?
That's it for me, bro.
Ben and Barry on football, www.benandbarry on football.